All right, let's talk about movement, right? So I want to start off with creating the distinction here that exercise and movement are two separate things, right? So exercise is movement, but movement is more than just exercise. So you can be active and sedentary at the same time. So, for example, you wake up early in the morning to go to your workout. So what you do, you're going to take your car, you drive yourself to the gym, you do your workout. Let's say you do 45 minutes of working out. So you'll be exercising for 45 minutes. Then you get back into the car, you go home, have a shower, then you go sit on the table, have your breakfast. Then after your breakfast, you quickly get into the car again, or you take the public transport, but you'll be sitting down again, and you sit drive to work 30 minutes, and then you come to work, you walk up the stairs, and then you end up sitting at the desk. You sit at the desk for hours, right? You get up once in a while, but you sit most of the time, and then it's time to go home again. So when you go home, back into the car, back in public transport, you'll be sitting again, and then you come home, you'll be doing some chores, and then by the evening you'll be sitting again watching your TV, and then straight in bed you'll be lying down. So basically, most of your day, if that's you, you are sedentary. You are active, right? You're doing the workout, you're doing the exercise, but you're not moving enough, and that's a problem that a lot of people have. So we can be active and sedentary at the same time. Now, I want you to see this big circle here as exercise, as your movement, right? So all this is 1 day's worth of movement. So like I mentioned, you just you walk to your office. If you stand up once in a while to go to the toilet, for example, that's movement. The moment you go shopping, for example, you walk around the aisles, that's movement. Even from parking your car, walking into the gym, that's part of the movement. And it's all these little things here, right? And they do all add up. And I'm going to go through that a little bit later as well, but they do all add up. Exercise is going to be this tiny little almost dot in the bigger dot. So if you are just exercising all day and you be sedentary for most of the time, we're not getting the full potential that we want to be. So I want you to really know the difference between movement and exercise. I'm not going to say exercise is not important, which we're going to move into very soon, but there's a big distinction. Right? Now, exercise. Let's talk a bit about exercise because if there was a magic pill, they would have called it exercise. Exercise is super, 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 super important for every single human being, right? And I'm not talking about, it has to be super hard exercise. It's exercise, the act of moving, bit of resistance, and that's super important. Here's a few things I found that exercise basically has been proven over and over and over again by science. It will increase your cancer survival rates after the diagnosis by 50 to 60%. There's no pill that can do that. Same as to reduce the incidence of type 2 diabetes by almost 60% in people at risk. So if you are at risk, exercise reduces that by 60%. There's no pill that can do that. Will maintain or improve your blood pressure, cholesterol, and blood sugar levels. Right? We can maintain, improve the fasting as well, but exercise plays a role in that too. It also reduces the risk of developing dementia, so it works on the brain level, improves your mental health. Right? There's a study out there that shows that it's that exercise for 30 minutes is as effective as a antidepressant in treating depression. Right? They had three groups of people. One group were giving antidepressants, were all depressed. They were giving antidepressants. Then another group was given an exercise regime for 30 minutes a day, and the other group was given exercise and the combination of exercise and the antidepressant. And what they found was, very interestingly, that all of them had the same improvement. So if you just exercise, you have the same improvement as just the taking the antidepressant, right? You had the same improvement after, I forgot how many weeks it was. But also the combination of both doesn't make it even better, right? So it's just the exercises as effective. Of course, when you are depressed, there's a little heads up. Do make sure that you reach out to people around you. It's a very serious issue, so make sure you are well aware there's people around you love you and care for you. Back to the exercise part, build strong muscles. Of course, you exercise a bit of resistant muscles, but it's not about just muscles, bones. You increase your bone density. Bones get stronger from exercise. Also, reduces the risk of falls and injury. One of the leading causes, and when you get older, is your falls, right? And you don't want to fall, especially if you haven't exercised in years. We talk about decades, and then you fall, and you get bad bones. You don't have strong muscles. That's a very big concern, especially in our population at the moment. Um, Also reduces the risk of any injuries. Of course, you can get injured exercise, but don't say that's the reason you don't exercise, because it actually reduces any sort of injury if done correctly, and also improves your general health and well-being as well. So just general health, of course, when you exercise, you're going to feel better. You're going to just function better, right? As your body's made, is designed to exercise. Now, there's different exercises. Now, when it comes to the exercise, this is the rule of thumb. You need less hit, more hiss, and more sit. Right? So let me explain. Let me go first through the what it means. First is hit. Hit means it's a high intensity interval training. We need less of that. Right? We need more hiss, which is high intensity steady state exercise. We also need to have more sit, sub maximal intensity interval training. Now we're going to go, not going to get into too much details beyond the scope of this book, but what is going to be important for you to know is you need less hit, more hiss, and more sit. So hit. Now hit was actually invented um, by a guy named um, Roger Bannister. And Roger Bannister, he in let me go back to the slides. He in 1954 was a young medical student, right? And he became the first person in the world to run a sub 4 minute mile, thanks to HIIT. Right? So a sub 4 minute mile back in the days in the 50s, they thought that was impossible. You can't run, a mile less than 4 minutes, right? So a sub 4 minute mile. He's actually the first one doing it. And again, it's actually very interesting, just that story by itself, because just after he did it, lots and lots and lots of people all of a sudden start doing it. There's that limiting belief. But that's beyond this scope of what we're talking about now. We're going to really talk about the exercise. But the reason that he did it is he thinks it to his HIIT training. And so he was a busy student. He'd done lots of spare time. So he would go down to the track and he just do interval sprints, right? So you run down flat out for 1 minute and he will jog back to the spot 2 to 3 minutes. And he will go for another 1 minute sprint and then he repeat that 10 times and then he will head back to work. So basically run really fast for 1 minute, as hard as he could, 2 3 minute break, etc. All right, so true HIIT workouts should have 2 to 3 minutes recovery periods, right? And the reason for that is then you're really able to push the intensity for the short burst of work. So the burst will be up to 60 seconds tops, right? It will be not longer than 60 seconds. It's more about 45 to 60 seconds. And you're going to give yourself a 2 to 3 minute break so you can really push the intensity each time you do it, right? And the way the body trains, again, we're not going to get too scientific here. It starts to train anaerobically. So it starts burning glucose in the absence of oxygen, right? And this is great for performance and power and exercises like sprinting or powerlifting. So if you're a sprinter, if you're a powerlifter, this is the way to train, right? But unfortunately, you and me, we were not interested in, unless you are and reading this book, but we're not interested in that. We want to, get most out of the time. And we're not interested in becoming a powerlifter or a Olympic sprinter. So an example workout, let's go through that again, just to get your mind around the timing. You run as fast as you can, 45, 60 seconds. You rest for 2 to 3 minutes. You repeat that for 3 to 4 times, and then you're kind of done. And there will be total time of about 16 minutes. And that's only if you do sprinting. Now, you and me, we just don't want to sprint, like I mentioned. What we want to do, we also want to add a bit of resistance exercise. Like we'll keep it very simple here. We do some push-ups, some squats, and we do some sit-ups, right? Plus you do some sprinting. So that's 4 times 16 minutes. So you're almost an hour later. So you and then you've only targeted those four different exercises, and it takes a whole hour. So for you and me, we're not that busy, but I'm sure we can't spend a whole hour just doing those four movements. So there must be a better way. Yes, there is. There's HISS, right? So we want to have more of the HISS, which is the high intensity steady state exercise. And this is actually what people call HIT, right? I've always been calling this HISS. I've never really promoted myself as HIT training. It's always been HISS because the research is showing what we kind of do. And basically, you see what a lot of companies and a lot of trainers and boot camps are out there doing is actually called HISS. So when they don't tell you it's HIT and it's actually a HISS. Now, his is like this. There's a story behind it as well, just like Roger Bannister's story. But this is a story of Tabata. Now, Tabata is a professor in Japan. And one time he was looking at the Winter Olympics. And I forgot which Winter Olympics it was. But at a certain point, it's about 14, 16 years ago, the sprint skating teams, the ice skating team, where they really go for sprints, for not the long distance, the shorter distance. The Japanese one, all of a sudden, they just won a bronze medal, which was never done before. And the people on the ice skating team, they were actually not even real full-time professionals like the American team. That's what they do for a living. But the ice skating team just have normal jobs on the side, so they didn't have that much time and resources as one of the bigger countries to spend on it. And all of a sudden, you got a bronze team, so a bronze medal. I mean, and that was very intrigued by it because he knew the backstory. He knew he didn't put much money and time in it. So he went to the coach and said, "What did you guys do?" So the coach based said, "Well, we're short of time. So what we do is we get them on the ice skates, and we just let them go for 20 seconds, super hard. And we give them a quick 10-second break, and again 20 seconds really hard, again 10-second break until we've done 8 rounds. One, and Tabitha was very intrigued by that. So what he did is he went to his lab, and he actually had his exercise lab, and he put two groups of people. He had one group of people that were doing that 20 seconds of, in his case, running on a treadmill, followed by a 10-second break 8 times. And he had another group of people that were just running steadily for 4 minutes, because 8 times 20 on 10 off, that would be 4 minutes. So they spent an equal amount of time in the lab. But one group was just doing on off, 20 10, 20 10, 8 times. The other group was just going continuously. And very interestingly, what he found was markers of weight loss and strength and all of that. The group that did that interval training, the 2010, which has later become the HISS, has been improving much more. So you get more weight loss from that, right? It's more time efficient as well. So workouts like that, Tabata, or if you know MRAPs or those EMOMs, those are hits, right? Because the recovery intervals are far too short. They're often just 10 to 30 seconds. And then it's far too short, I mean, for the heart rate and other physiological factors to recover from a 20 to 45-second bout of harder exercise, right? So the short breaks, the hit training, you get 2 3 minute breaks. So your body get a lot of time to recover. This one, the hit is too short, right? And because of that, it improves your aerobic capacity because it's taxing the energy systems that uses the glucose, right? Plus the oxygen for fuel. We're not just using the glucose, we're also using the oxygen for fuel. So we have an aerobic workout, and that's really super important for our for our heart and lung health. Now, an example work, I already talked you through it. So one should run as fast as you can for 20, you rest for 10, you repeat this 8 times, and you're done, which is all together 4 minutes. And for 4 minutes, you get a very awesome benefits, kind of like the hit, but it's only 4 minutes. It's a quarter of the time spent. So if we now do your running, your squats, your push-ups, and your sit-ups, for example, you do that all of them Tabata style, you only spend 16 minutes. And then all of a sudden you get in within 16 minutes, you're very time efficient, right? Because we still use the glucose, just like the other one, but we also use the use the oxygen as well for fuel. So you get a double whammy there, right? So that's the HISS workout, and that's the one that I use in my transformation centers as well. That's the one that's transformation training's been built around a lot. Then, so we got less HIIT, more HISS, more sit. Now, sit is just a fancy label for regular movement in daily life. Remember that circle I talked to you about in the beginning, all that movement. Yeah, everything minus that little exercise bulb, right? That is sit. So everything movement is sit. So we need to have more sit, less sitting, right? So because the more we sit, because sitting is bad. I would say that sitting is almost bad as smoking. Because the more we sit, the greater chance of dying of heart disease, stroke, cancers, diabetes, right? If you sit a lot, you get back and joint pain, right? If you like to be overweight or obese, even though you do your exercise, but if you're active and sedentary, right, you still get all the back and joint pain. You still get a chance of dying heart disease. And also it drains your energy. Sometimes we think we're tired from the exercise, but it's tired because we're not moving, because we're sitting too much. And there's a one way to conquer that, and there's something called we need to have more OTMs. Now, OTMs, we've got a lot of wording here. OTMs means opportunities to move, right? So we used to be too often like I keep mentioning this super important because we keep thinking that a full on super sweaty 30, 45, 60-minute workout, right, counts, right? That's what's all about. But we need to have more than just that exercise, right? Everything counts. Every sort of movement counts, and we need to find those opportunities to move, right? So a few as sit examples, and coming back to the opportunities to move again. So the first example is you need to stand every 10 to 15 minutes. We need to sitting kills, we need to stand every 10 to 15 minutes. But also, here's super important: standing desks are better than sitting. But sometimes when it's not about how long you stand. So standing desk is because you're still static, right? Still in the same position all day. It can be as bad as static sitting. So static standing can be as bad as static sitting all day. So what's super important is how many times you stand up during the day. So you sit, you get up, sit, get up. So you need to set a timer for yourself. Every 10 to 15 minutes, you need to get up, get out of your chair, and sit back down again. Why not just stand for 5, 6 hours in the same position? We need to move, we need to go up, we need to go down. And then go back to the OTMs, the opportunities to move. A few examples of those are catching a bike to work. If you can't do that, if you live in Auckland, it's a bit dangerous at times. You might want to park your car far away, and then you walk 5, 10 minutes to work. And then at your work, you don't take the elevators; you're going to take the stairs. And then, like I said, you're going to stand up every 10 to 15 minutes. And instead of lunchtime sitting, you're going to walk around and eat. I'm sure we can all walk around and eat. Or when next time you make a phone call, you make an opportunity to move by just walking around your office, for example, where you walk around outside. Um, Another OTM is, what else can we OTM? There's so many examples. Another OTM is when you go shopping, right? Instead of pushing the trolley, grab a basket, add a bit of resistance to it, right? If it fits in the basket, of course, you can hold that, and that's another opportunity to move. So you can start being very playful for different ways to incorporate more movement in life, because remember, movement matters. All those little things matter a lot. All right, so that's the exercise. And if you're very interested in the way that we work out here, I want you to go to this website here, transformationcenter.co.nz/book. And what you can do there is you can get a full workout where I talk you through all the exercises and get a bit of a taste of what we offer at Transformation Center.